Hello friends, welcome to the Textual Education. Hello friends, in this video we are going to learn the basics of REST API. So let's get started. In this video we will learn the REST API and the concept will be what is REST API, what is APIs, need of REST APIs, features of REST APIs, how to create REST APIs using core Java, how to create REST APIs using Spring Framework, how to test the APIs, how to validate the APIs, how to create secured APIs, how to consume the created APIs. Let's first we understand what is web service. Web service is a software system that supports interoperable machine to machine interaction over the network. In general words, we can say that a web service is a concept for sharing the raw information or to share the data over the network. Data can be in the form of JSON, XML, image, video, documents, etc. Why we need the web services? We cannot provide the access of our database to external users or external organization, but we need to share the information to end user. So we need to expose the APIs to share the data to other users. Let's take a look on REST API. What is REST API? REST API is an interface in which two computer systems use to exchange information securely over the network. Most of the business applications have to communicate with other internal and third-party applications to perform various tasks. Mostly the REST API is used to share the information from one source to another. The features of REST APIs are: it is lightweight, it is easy to extend and maintain, it is a service to share raw information but used REST structure. REST is widely used for API development. Rules for the REST APIs are: it has 4 rules, it uses HTTP methods, it is stateless, expose directory structure like URL patterns, and it can transfer the data in the form of JSON, XML, or both. It uses HTTP method get, post, put, delete. B statelet, it does not store the client information. It is a sessionless. Resources can be accessed via URLs. That means that it exposes the direct URLs that we can call the REST APIs. Data transfer mode is XML or JSON. Now take a look on annotations. As you know, we are going to use STS IDE and Spring Boot framework. So first we need to look some annotations. First of all, what is annotations? Annotations in Java provides additional information to the compiler and JVM. An annotation is a tag representing metadata about classes, interfaces, variables, methods, or fields. Annotations do not impact the execution of the code that they annotate. Some of the characteristics of annotations are: the annotation begins with @ symbol. Now, the first annotation is Spring Boot application. What is the purpose of this annotation? This is a main annotation for any web application to start the application. This single annotation combines 3 annotations like configuration, @enable auto configuration, and @component scan. When we annotate main class with @spring boot and application, then it enables Java-based configuration as well as component scanning and auto configuration feature of Spring Boot, which set up things for us by just dropping the required jar into the class path. The @springboot application annotation triggers auto configuration and component scanning. It combines three annotations: @configuration, @component scan, and @enable auto configuration. Now, the next annotation is @rest controller. This annotation for is used for developing RESTful web services with the Spring MVC framework. The REST controller is a combination of @controller and @response body annotations. This is a class level annotation. When we annotate a controller class with REST controller, it does two purposes. First, it says that the controller class is handling a request for REST APIs. And the second, you don't need to annotate each method with the response body annotation to signal that the response will be converted into a resource using the various HTTP converters. Now, the next annotation is @request mapping. It provides the mapping between the request path and the handler method. It also supports some advanced options that can be used to specify separate handler method for different types of request on same URI. Like you can specify a method to handle get request and another to handle post request on same URI. It is a method level annotation that is specified over a handler as well as class level annotation to specify a specific URI base URL. The @request mapping annotation is used to map HTTP request to REST and MVC controller methods in Spring Boot application. We can use this annotation on class level as well as method level annotation. Now, let's move to the next annotations. @request param annotation. This is annotation is used to bind HTTP parameters into method arguments of handler methods. It binds the parameter value to variables shared with the URL request. The data is sent with the URL with question mark variable key equal to variable value form. This annotation is used for parameter of the method. The next annotation is @path variable. This annotation is used to retrieve data from the URL and binds the data to variables. Data is come at the end of the URL path. The path variable is represented inside curly braces like key. That means data is bind with the variable which is annotated with @path variable. This annotation is also is used for parameter of the method with parameter of the method. The request body annotation. This annotation can convert inbound HTTP data into a Java object passed into the controller's handler method. Just as response body tells the Spring MVC to use a message converter when sending a response to the client. The @request body annotation tells the Spring Boot to find a suitable message converter to convert a resource representing coming from a client into a object. This annotation is used for parameter of the method. The request body annotation is used to bind the JSON request into bean, specified bean. Now, move to the next annotation. The next annotation is response body. The response body annotation is one of the most useful annotation for developing REST APIs web service. Using Spring MVC, this annotation is used to transfer a Java object returned from the controller to a resource representation requested by a REST client. It can complete it can completely bypass the view resolution part. The response body annotation is used to send a response to the client. Now move to the next annotation. The next annotation is @autowired. This is the most important annotation. Spring or auto-wired annotation is used for automatic dependency injections. As we know, a Spring framework is built on dependency injection, and we inject the class dependencies through the Spring Bean configuration file. So, auto-wired annotation is mostly used in Spring Boot. Now move to the next annotation, that is @service annotation. The @service annotation is a class level annotation used to indicate that the class is a service class that defines the business logic. Now move to the next annotation, @component. This component allows this framework to automatically detect the component classes without any need to write any explicit code. Spring Framework scans classes with @component, initialize them, and injects the required dependencies. The @component annotation is used to initialize the classes. And the next annotation is @repository. The @repository is a specified version of the @component annotation. It indicates that the class is a repository that contains data storage and other operations such as updating, deleting, searching, and retrieving data on objects. So friends, we have learned about some basics annotations: @Spring Boot annotation, @REST controller, @request mapping, @request param, @path variable, @request body, @response body. Then we learned the auto-wired annotation, then @service, @component, @repository. And friends, there is lot more annotations that we are uses for the development of RESTful APIs. We will learn later about them when we use them in projects. Friends, there is lot more annotation in Spring Boot for the development of REST APIs. Here I am explaining you some basic annotation that we use in our practical session. And this is just basic overview about the annotations that we learned. There is lot more to explore. I request you to explore more about these annotations. So see you in next video with practice setup. Thank you. Thanks for watching video. If you like the video, kindly hit the like button, give your comments, and click on subscribe button to get future notification. Thank you. See you in next video. Bye.